Hey everybody, welcome to the 1804 show, chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is episode 47. How everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody good. Hope everybody enjoying a Friday evening. So, I decided to open up with a new column, a new feature to the podcast, and it's called 1804 History. So, I'm going to be bringing up um, a lot of history subjects and history knowledge to everyone who's oblivious to these certain topics and these certain individuals. And I just wanted to, start it off with one of my favorite civil rights leaders of all time. So this is going to be like pretty much like a Friday thing that I do since it's the weekend. So I decided to just bring up this type of subjects and type of events on this day. So let's get it started. And for my YouTubers, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, Cash App, the 1804 show. You know how we get down. So let's get it started. Um, well, first of all, what made me wanted to pick this man is the fact that he's not mentioned in the history books unless you really dug your research, because everybody think that Dr. King was the first civil rights leader who was assassinated, which is totally preposterous because he really was like the Martin Luther King of Mississippi. And he really was a bad man, really was militant, really um, traveled all across the state, making sure people had, you know, equal rights. But let me get started with his story. Medgar Wally Evers was born July 2nd, 1925, and he passed June 12th, 1963. The saddest part about that is he was getting ready to celebrate his 40th birthday, and he didn't make it to 40. And when you really sit back and think about like 40-year-olds now and how people are acting young and not really doing much nowadays compared to people back in those days. A lot of people back in those days was very mature compared to the generation now. And I think it's just a lot of social media has something to do with that. And it's also just music and the culture and then the era of those times, segregation, whether we like to acknowledge it or not, it was a good thing for our people. It kept us disciplined and it kept us together and kept us motivated into doing something, for a better cause. We wanted to be educated. We wanted to be, um, just together, just a unity that comes with that. But let me finish reading his bio. He was an American civil rights activist in Mississippi, the state's field secretary of the NAACP, and a World War II veteran who has served in the United States Army. He worked to overturn segregation at the University of Mississippi and the segregation of public faculties and expand opportunities for African Americans, which include the enforcement of voting rights. So he really was about, you know, justice, for everybody. A college grad, Evers became active in the civil rights movement in the 1950s. Following the 1954 ruling of the United States Supreme Court in Brown versus Board of Education that segregates public schools were unconstitutional, Evers challenged the segregation of the state supported public University of Mississippi, applying to law school there. He also worked for voting rights, economic opportunity, access to public faculties, and other changes in the segregated society. Evers was awarded the 1963 NAACP Spence Guard Medal. So basically, he was just, somebody who felt like things was bad, and he just felt that it was just tragic, just how everybody was getting treated unfairly. Everybody wasn't getting their just due, and we have that now. And just the fact like he was so young, doing this, and it's just like makes you sit back and wonder like, dang, am I doing enough, or if I'm not doing much with my 24 hours? Like, just by reading this biography, like, he really wasn't home like that. And he had a wife and he had children and everything like that. So that just lets you know, like, he really put his life on the line every day and just allow people to understand, like, hey, you gotta understand, like, that we are Americans and that this is our country too. So he was assassinated in 1963 by Byron D. LeBeckwith, a member of the White Citizens Council in Jackson, Mississippi. This group was formed in 1954 in Mississippi to resist the integration of schools and civil rights activism. As a veteran, Evers was buried with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery. His murder and the resulting trials inspired civil rights protests. His life and these events inspired numerous works of art, music, and film. All white juries failed to reach verdicts in the first two trials of Beckwith in the 1960s. He was convicted in 1994 in a new state trial based on new evidence. Medgar's widow, Marley Evers, became a noted activist in her own right, serving as national chairman of the NAACP. His brother Charles Evers was the first African American to be elected as mayor of a city in Mississippi. In the post Reconstruction era, he won the office in 1969 in Fayette. Wow, I didn't know that. But, he really was like one brave man. And, just imagine, getting out your car after a long day of work. You getting death threats, you getting told that you're going to get killed if you don't stop what you're doing. And I just admire people like that who know that it can all be over, but they just keep doing it because it's right. Because who else is going to do it? I'm pretty sure he was afraid of his life, but he realized that, he had to do it. He felt like he finally like served a purpose. And I just explain to people that as long as you're doing something what you love and doing something because it's right, you're not afraid of the consequences. And a lot of people are afraid to die than live. And to me, dying is easy. Living is difficult. But yeah, let me skip down to this real quick. So Medgar Evers lived with the constant threat of death. A large white supremacist population and the Ku Klux Klan were presented in Jackson and its suburbs. The risk was so high that before his death, Evers and his wife Marley had trained their children of what to do in case of a shooting, bombing, or other kind of attack on their lives. Evers, who was regularly followed home by at least two FBI officers and one police car, arrived at his home on the morning of his death without an escort. None of his usual protection was present. For reasons unexpected by the FBI or local police, there has been speculation that many members of the police force at the time were members of the Klan. In the early morning of Wednesday, June 12, 1963, just hours after President Kennedy's national televised civil rights address, Evers pulled into his driveway after returning from a meeting with NAACP lawyers. Evers' family had worried for his safety that day, and Evers himself had warned his wife that he felt in greater danger than usual. Emerging from his car and carrying NAACP t-shirts that read "Jim Crow must go," Evers was struck in the back with a bullet fired from a Eddystone Enfield 1917 rifle. The bullet passed through his heart, initially throwing him to the ground by the impact of the shot. Evers rose and started 30 feet, 10 meters before collapsing outside his front door. His wife, Early, was the first to find him. He was taken to the local hospital in Jackson, where he was initially refused entry because of his race. Even in death, like, you still get discriminated against. Even in death, you dying, that stuff should not matter, but it does. His family explained who he was, and he was admitted he died in the hospital 50 minutes later. He was only 37 years old. Evers was the first black man to be admitted into an all-white hospital in Mississippi. Mourned nationally, Evers was buried on June 19th in Arlington National Cemetery, where he received full military honors before a crowd of more than 3,000 people. So 3,000 people came and paid their respects. After Evers was assassinated, an estimated 5,000 people marched from the Masonic Temple on Lynch Street to the Collins Funeral Home on North Farley Street in Jackson. Allen Johnson, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and other civil rights leaders led the procession. The Mississippi police came prepared with riot gear and rifles in case the protests turned violent. While tensions were, and they love using this And thus, say this one where indefinitely high in the standoff between police and marchers, both in Jackson and many similar marches across the state. Leaders of the movement maintain nonviolence along their followers. But yeah, y'all, like, this just makes you, sit back and think, like, what has changed? Nothing. This happened almost pretty much 58 years ago, and it's still the same. That's why, like, with the verdict of Kyle Rittenhouse, nobody should be surprised. They've been getting them off for hella years, and it's just what kills me is that you still have these brain dead people that still believe in the American justice system. And it's just sad, when you're, oops, sorry, my lights went out. Be back. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, it just makes you mad as a American citizen when my lights keep going out. What a night. Okay. It just man, I'm trying to be professional. Okay. But yeah, it just makes you mad just being an American citizen, being born in a country that you see so many people that, you know, commit crimes and they get found not guilty, knowing that they have footage, knowing that they had evidence that point them at the scene, and innocent people get killed and they be considered the villains. And it just makes you mad when you have those type of things happen and nobody gets punished for it. It's just pretty much the same thing. Like, this man was murdered outside his home, being a good guy, being a good dude, never broke the law, served his country, but yet gets shot in the back. And then after two mistrials, his wife was left to clean up the blood from the driveway. This man was only 37 years old. He would have been 40 years old in 3 years, but 37. There's a lot of people that's 37 right now ain't doing nothing, ain't doing jack with their lives, but they, living all this time and they're not doing anything. And it's just really like frustrating when you hear stories about men like this who was a good man, didn't deserve that, and then got taken out by a coward. And a lot of people cowards, man. Cowards live a long life, you know, while the brave people die, get killed, get assassinated. And it's so unfortunate. And a lot of people, a lot of our people don't know the history that they would just say any crazy and sensitive thing. Nothing's funny when one of our own dies. It's nothing funny about that. And we should treat every death as a great loss because, one person die, you kill off a generation. One person can generate a child or a grandchild and then that grandchild or that kid can generate 10 kids or more than 15 kids, you know? So that's a whole nother generation of black folks gone. And we need to understand that all we have is each other out here. And everybody just feel like that, you know, I hope they figure it out. Shit, we better figure it out before it's too late. I just hate when our people speak in such nonsense and such rhetoric to the point that they don't understand what's really going on. It's been war. This shit been going on. Even when our parents were kids, this shit been happening. And it's nothing changes. You know, if anything, we're the ones vilified. You know, we get killed. They want to show the most dug out picture that we have, the most gangster picture that we got to, continue on with a particular narrative. And that's why you gotta be careful with the pictures you take, because if something happened to you, they would use that as collateral damage. You know, not only they would kill you while you're alive, but they would kill you while you're dead. They would kill your credibility. They would kill your soul. You know, and it's just like I said, everybody isn't resting in peace. It's people that's pissed off that they got killed, or you know what I'm saying. It's people that mad that got killed by a pussy ass nigga or coward. It's people that's mad that they didn't get the chance to defend themselves. You know, they got shot in the back or got you know caught slipping. But we have to understand that we have to be careful with the words we say because history has a way of repeating itself, and it's just so unfortunate that you have a lot of people that didn't get the chance to see the things that we saw. And for example, this man, served his country, served his community, didn't break the law, wasn't looking for trouble. All he was trying to do was get the same rights as every American, and I cost him his life. Didn't get a chance to see his kids grow up. Didn't get a chance to see his grandchildren. And I so admire his wife, the fact that even after she got remarried, she didn't change her name. She still kept his last name, even after she got remarried. So we just have to keep in mind of the things that we say and the things that we do because not only you hurting the people that love that person, but you hurting yourself because you and I are one. Don't forget who you are. But yeah, that includes tonight's 1804 history lesson. Yeah, everything was good. Sorry about the lighting. My lights kept on going out. But yeah, I hope everybody, who watched and who will watch it later enjoyed this segment. I got plenty more coming up. Um, Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, to my YouTube people. But yeah, just make sure y'all keep me locked in. And I enjoyed you guys. Have a good night. Peace.